Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson. I am the founder and the spiritual director. Now, as you are sitting there joining us, you may have questions, any number of questions, such as, who am I? How did I get here? Spiritually integrated arts means what exactly? What is a teaching center? Well, what is Centers for Spiritual Living? What is that? What does that even mean? Or New Thought, or religious science, or science of mind and spirit? You may have any number of questions about this specific community, about the parent organization, CSL, our philosophy, our teaching, our liberation theology. Any number of questions. Feel free to send an email. We look forward to connecting more and building our virtual community, our global community. And if you haven't connected yet on social media, feel free to do so. This is your invitation now. Also, did you know that all of our Sunday messages are archived on our YouTube channel? You can watch it anytime. Now, questions about anything, such as becoming a member. What does that mean? What does membership entail? And if you live somewhere far and already belong to a spiritual community, can you be a member of more than one? The simple answer is yes, you can. Just like you can shop at more than one grocery store, you can attend or be a member of more than one gym. We are building beloved community. So you can do both. You can be a member of both. You can be involved with both. That's what being in spiritual community means. So we welcome you. We invite you. We are so appreciative that you have found this community and that you have joined us today. We bless you. We love you. We welcome you. Live long and prosper. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of our Sunday message. Love you. Connect with you soon. Blessings. Namaste and greetings. It's beginning to look a lot like. Anyhow, today we are talking about the incredible light of being. Maybe that's what we should sing. It's beginning to look a lot like the incredible light of being shining in as you. Okay, I know, Tracy. I know. Tracy's fussing right now, so I'm going to stop singing. But today we continue our discussion up, up, and away. The incredible light of being. Warning, there will be some poking the bear and stirring the pot today. So today, this month, the darkest of the season in the Northern Hemisphere, has so many celebrations of light, various cultures and customs where we celebrate this idea of light. December 8th marks Bodhi Day, celebrating the enlightenment of the Buddha for many of those who study and practice Buddhism. The Wiccan tradition of Yule on December 21st honors the passing of the shortest day of the year, remembering the return of that which we refer to as the light. Then there is, we all know, Christmas, which celebrates the birth of Jesus, who is referred to as the light of the world within the Judeo-Christian tradition. Even though technically most scholars say Jesus wasn't born in December, but that's a different conversation. Nonetheless, we celebrate on December 25th. And then there's December 26th, which marks the beginning of both Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, which we have the representation of each of them has a menorah of their own, a candelabra of their own, which recognizes the lighting of individual candles and what that represents. Then we have the season of Advent, which also uses candles to remind us of the light. The thing I want us to be mindful of is we vilify the darkness and we make the light and I understand linguistic convenience and symbology, and I got that, and that's all good, but let us always come back to the space that says that which is life affirming, that which is non-life affirming, because too much light prevents us from being able to see, just as too much darkness prevents us from being able to see. Even if we're talking about light representing enlightenment and darkness representing ignorance, too much of either in an obsessive, codependent, narcissistic way is going to be the very obstacle that prevents us from attaining that thing. So, what we are talking about is this balance, yin, yang, light, darkness, awareness, and that which we are not aware or yet to become aware of. Finding the balance between, the balance of. Let us step into that space this holiday, holy day, wholeness day season. And in so doing, we are invited to think about how we use symbols. For example, this word, blindness, what comes to your mind when you read or hear this word, blindness? For many people, it is actually those who are unable to see. Something that might come to mind is a seeing eye dog. There might be the idea of reading using Braille or using the stick to navigate the path. Yes, all of these things. Referencing people. If I say, bring to mind some famous blind people that you know, any of these individuals may come to mind. Now, when we see them, when we hear them, when we recognize them, do we see any of them as ignorant, unaware, trapped, Or do we see their genius? Do we recognize their genius? Do we share and enjoy in their genius? See, our invitation is to stop using blindness as the catchphrase metaphor and symbolism for ignorance, for the opposite of enlightenment. Let's start using words that mean what we want them to mean, that say what we want them to say, that convey what we want them to convey. Ableism, by lumping blindness and blind people and into this category that says, well, the blind leading the blind is the symbol of absolute ignorance. What about the unaware leading the unaware? The ignorant leading the ignorant, the unaware leading the ignorant. You get where I'm going. We are no longer needing to use ableism as the symbol, as the linguistic convenience for what we're talking about. And in this, that's one of the things that propels us into Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0 or New Thought 4.0. The idea of we no longer reference this thing, this stuff, this activity, the way our predecessors in the movement once did. Dr. Holmes says, if one will have faith in themselves, faith in their fellow people, in the universe and in God, that faith will light the place in which we find ourselves. And it is by the light of this faith, we will be able to see all is good. And the light shed by this faith will light the way for others. Remix. Breathe. If one will embody and utilize their faith in life-affirming ways regarding themselves, other people, the universe, and God, that faith will bring a life-affirming awareness, a life-affirming consciousness in whatever place we find ourselves. And by the awareness of this faith, we will be able to recognize the all is good of the absolute and express that goodness in the relative. Pause. Why am I saying that? Because many use this all is good to bypass when someone is experiencing something that is not good. Right? So we want to understand in the absolute, yes, there is goodness because that which God isn't good. God is goodness itself. And when we say goodness, what do we mean? Right? So there's this idea of all is good, all is well, all is whole, all is one. But in the relative, do we experience that? Do we feel that? Okay. So we express that goodness in the relative. And through our active and conscious embodiment of this life affirming faith and goodness, we will inspire, we will encourage, and we will support others no matter where they are in their lives. We meet people where they are. Dr. Holmes goes on to say, we become conscious of darkness. Remember what I said. We become conscious of darkness only when we are without faith. For faith is ever the light of our day and the light on our way, making that way clearly visible to us, even when to all others it may be beset with obstacles and the ongoing rough. You guessed it, remix, breathe. Remember, I warned you, we're poking the bear and stirring the pot. We are undoing a lot of the old way of linguistic convenience. It's time to step in and elevate, especially now as we are on the precipice of a new year, a new political arena, a new degree of consciousness that is screaming to be addressed and healed. It is very important that we who are in spiritual community do the work. The remix. We become conscious of the non-life affirming elements and experiences that need healing when we practice life affirming faith without denying non-life affirming faith and the implications of it. Life affirming faith reveals to us a different way of not only experiencing the world through our mental equivalents, it gives us a different way of addressing, a different way of transforming, a different way of eradicating, and a different way of healing any of the things that deny others the ability to live fully. We have to truly understand there is no way that an anti-venom can be created by a scientist if said scientist says venom doesn't hurt anyone. Matter of fact, there's no such thing as venom. But somebody just got bit by a snake or a black widow spider or a scorpion or what do you mean? There's no such thing. God is good. All is well. You cannot create the medicinal properties of an anti-venom, an antitoxin, while denying that the very thing that is causing harm exists in the first place. I'm sure most of us are familiar with this verse. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand and it gives light to everyone in the house. We're familiar with this. And once again, this is common sense. If you need, for those who are sighted, to navigate a room, there needs to be light, whether it is ambient or there needs to be light. Common sense. But when we use this as a way of representing darkness as ignorance, rather than calling ignorance ignorance, calling intolerance intolerance, calling bigotry bigotry, we're doing a disservice to the shadow. We are doing a disservice to the darkness. Because darkness isn't the enemy. The womb is dark. The earth in which you plant the seed is dark. Darkness is not the enemy. So let us simply just be mindful how we are using language, how we are expressing the ideas. Are we doing so in a way that truly addresses? Because it's easy to go into a doctor's office and they simply say, yes, you are sick. Sick? Well, what's wrong? Your body is sick. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to address the sickness. Look, I need specifics. I need you to call a thing a thing. There's a cavity in this molar. We're going to extract the tooth. We're going to implant. I need, right, specifics. There is the need for surgery on your foot. There is the need to re-break the bone in order to reset it, in order for it to heal. Specifics. It's time for us to do the same thing within spiritual education, spiritual practice, clarity. We can still use linguistic convenience, metaphor, poetry, symbolism, but let's also balance that with directly communicating what we are talking about. Dr. Holmes continues, we cannot see capital R reality, absolute, until our eyes are open, until the light of eternal, capital T, truth, has struck deeply into our own souls. Precisely. Breathe. Remix. We cannot experience reality until our awareness and consciousness are open. In other words, until our consciousness and awareness are receptive to reality. Until the awareness of eternal truth has deeply resonated and found meaning within our own souls. Now, I invite us to sit with this. What is reality? What is eternal truth? What does it mean for something to resonate with our soul? Because it's easy to read this, love it. Oh, it's so inspiring. It's so encouraging. And then someone says, but what does it mean in your regular everyday life? And we're like, wow. Um, it's a good question. Can you check back with me next week? Our invitation is to really understand it to a degree where someone says, what is pie? Well, pie is a meal or a dessert, because one can have a pot pie, which is involving a flaky crust using flour and eggs and whatnot, et cetera, and it is filled with a creamy and chicken and peas and blah, blah. A pie can be same kind of crust, similar, slightly different ingredients, because this one is savory and this one is sweeter. And it can be filled with a variety of things such as apples or a meringue or blah, blah. There's clarity in expressing what we're talking about. If we're going to talk about experiencing reality, we're going to talk about being receptive to reality and eternal truth. Does it not benefit us to be able to, one, understand it, two, to be able to communicate it in a way that demonstrates our understanding of it? Because otherwise, all we are doing, quoting Bible verses without understanding, quoting the founder of whatever New Thought movement without understanding, which makes us parrots of metaphysics rather than visionaries and creators, imagineers and manifestors. Breathe. Which one of these is reality? Once again, our invitation is, well, what is reality? Because to each of these people, reality, the reality of what they are experiencing is accurate. To one, the reality is it is a 6, or it appears to be a 6. To one, the reality is a 9, or it appears to be a 9. And yet there is an absolute reality that says your perception, while being accurate, is not complete. Because the moment you change your perception, what would happen if they looked at it from the side and not from either end? What determines that this is actually the end versus this is the end? It's only the end when you look at it from this point, and from this point, looking at it top to bottom, it's a 6. Well, for them, from top to bottom, it's a 9. Once again, what happens if you now rotate your view? What is it? It's neither a 6 nor a 9 now, because the perception, the point of view, the point of focus has been altered. So once again, as we look at, as we experience reality, let us be mindful to pause and say, is this relative reality based upon my perception? Or is it a quote unquote capital R ascended absolute reality where I am giving myself the space to take in all angles, top and bottom, inside and outside, where I say, this From one perception, it looks like a 6. Another looks like a 9. Another, it's a shape. Another, it could be a G. Another, it is a symbol, an icon. It is paint on the ground. It is pink and black. It is, and so on to infinity. So our invitation is to pause, and before we are so quick to label a thing, and stop, pause and check in. Because there are a lot of folks within New Thought who want to completely eradicate the word God within our movement. And I understand why. I got you. But the reasoning is because what they are experiencing is a relative reality, which for them causes angst and anger. And yet for others, that word, God, doesn't stir, doesn't trigger. So what is the invitation? For those who use the word, can we expand it to be able to encompass and invite the others into greater healing so that that word is no longer a triggering word? Pause and expand. Howard Thurman says, to continue one's journey in the darkness with one's footsteps guided by the illumination of remembered radiance is to know courage of a particular kind. The courage to demand the light continue to be light even within the surrounding darkness. What does this mean to you? In your life, what does that courage look like? Now, yes, we're going to remix. Today's a day to remix all, to remix all, to remix. Yes, we are remixing this as well. Breathe. To continue one's journey in a world of non-life affirming events, because there are many things, war, genocide, there are all kinds of atrocities that are not life affirming. So when someone says it is by divine order and they want to bypass or malpractice or malfeasance, it's all God, it's all good, everything is by divine order. So you're telling me that lynchings and dropping Hiroshima and Nagasaki and 9/11 and the Holocaust, this is all by divine order. As though God is saying, in order for humanity to awaken to its magnificence, there must be this pain and suffering and death. You almost made me curse. There are non-life affirming events, right, in the world. So to continue one's journey in a world of non-life affirming events while maintaining life affirming faith, which guides through inspiration, through intuition, and inquiry, is to know courage of a particularly powerful kind. The kind to demand that truth continue to be true, even when surrounded by untruth, deception, misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Breathe. So now what is this inviting you into? What does it mean for you? What does it look like for you to continue to be anchored and grounded in truth, to demand a degree of truth be received and be expressed when we are surrounded by a variety of untruths, deceptions, misinformations, manipulations, etc.? How do we continue to be anchored in principle? And we can use firefighters as an example. A firefighter is surrounded by the flames. Do they not demand that the fires be quelled in how they are using the hose, using foam, whatever it is their methods, techniques, and tools may be. Are they not, in effect, demanding that the fires be stopped, even while being surrounded by the heat, the smoke, the flames? Even when, to all appearances, nothing can be done. But do they not still maintain and persist? Because they are convicted, knowing that my tools and my techniques, my training has equipped me to handle this. How has your training, how is your training equipping you to handle deception and untruth, misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, manipulation, fear, and more? Breathe. So, speaking of symbolism and metaphor and whatnot, within the scope of many stories, there is the archetype and the mythology of the blind master. That individual who, though they cannot see, they see in ways that are beyond mere eyesight. They sense in ways that are beyond mere eyesight. Now, for some of these individuals, there is simply the training that they undergo to attain such mastery. For others, it may be a degree or a level of, supernatural something, which we'll get to in the next slide with Daredevil and the science fiction aspect of what made him a blind master. But there is a scene within this television show that still resonates with me when young Cain meets Master Po. And Master Po tells him, "Take your broom and strike me with it." Prior to that, Master Po says, "You are the new pupil. Come closer." And Cain says, "Oh, to be without sight truly must be an awful thing, in essence." And Master Po says, "You think because I am blind, I cannot see. Take your broom and strike me with it." Cain is like, "What? I don't want to hit you." "Do as I say, strike." Cain swings and Master Po tosses him to the ground. "Again, strike." Cain is like, "I know this old man didn't just throw me in the ground. He with more. Again." And he didn't throw me to the ground twice. I'm going to clock him. And he runs at him again. Master Po. Cain gets up, brushes himself off, and Master Po says, "Never assume that because a man has no eyes, he cannot see. Close your eyes. What do you hear?" Cain closes his eyes, and there's a fountain. He says, I hear the water, and there's some birds, and I hear the birds." Master Po says, "Do you hear your own heartbeat, or the grasshopper which is at your feet?" Cain looks down and is like, "WTF? Old man, how is it that you know these things? Young man, how is it that you do not?" We are invited into a new level of a new degree of insight that is beyond eyesight, that moves us into the space of God sight. If that which we are is the divine itself, then do we see, do we perceive, do we understand, do we recognize life through God's sight, through the absolute truth and reality, the eternal? And it's going to ebb and flow. There are some days you wake up and you feel great, you got energy, and there are some days where you're like, you know what, today's a day I'm gonna just chill. We can call it a lazy day. It's a day for me to rest, recharge, and rejuvenate. Just like right after the election, there were a lot of people who were in the grief phase. I simply want to, I need to feel what I feel, the anger, the sadness, feel it. Tomorrow, whenever tomorrow, then I will rise again and be ready to organize and strategize. Then I will be ready to visualize and manifest. Then, but not now. There is a time, it ebbs and flows. There are going to be days where you know, and you know that you know who and what you are. And then there are days where forgetfulness, the haze of life be life, and man, and that's fine. Recognize it and acknowledge it. And through your training, move through it. Dr. Sean Ginwright offers us clarity comes when we shed all the barriers, confusion, distractions, amusements, and excuses that get in the way of what we really want. What do we really want? What is the vision of CSL, Centers for Spiritual Living? A world that works for all? What barriers get in the way? What confusions get in the way? What amusements get in the way? What excuses get in the way of us manifesting and creating that? You want life, health, joy, wonderment, orgasmic bliss in your own life? What of these things are getting in the way? And what clarity are you invited into? There are all kinds of things that distract us. Squirrel. That cause us to divert our attention. Okay, what was I saying? There are all kinds of things that distract us. How do you realign, refocus, come back to that space of active awareness, not hypervigilance, active awareness, where you are grounded? The amusement park serves its purpose until it doesn't. A distraction, even, you know what? There's so much going on today. I need a little bit of, as long as I'm not doom scrolling, I am momentarily distracting myself from. Because right now, I don't want to deal with this. That's fine. It's part of the process of healing, as long as that distraction does not become an addiction or an obsession. Because then it's non-life affirming. Then it is part of the problem. Howard Thurman offers us, we seek to walk, once again, ableism, we seek to walk in our own path, which opens up before us, made clear by the light of the Christ Spirit and the radiance which it casts around us. Breathe. We seek to navigate and experience that which is our own divine life path, which opens up before us, made clear by the awareness of the Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, Om consciousness, etc., whatever you want to call it. And the radiance, or the radiating power, which it casts and projects all around us. When we are in and operating from that embodied place, there is an energy that radiates from us. There is a vibration that radiates from us. We become the central broadcasting station of peace on earth, goodwill towards all, love and compassion, calling out, calling on, calling in. We become the very central point of that consciousness that sends it out. If we do so in a life affirming way, we reap life affirming results. If we do so in a way where it's discordant, like playing a piano that is out of key, there's still a vibration of sound, but it's not in tune. It's out of tune, or it's in a other tune. It's mal-tuned. It's not a perfect G. It's a I don't know what that is. But there's still something, just like radiation. We know that referencing a dirty bomb, an atomic bomb, a whatever, radiation can harm. But radiation, when used in moderation, such as an X-ray, it can be used to help heal and cure and fix. So it's a matter of, what am I radiating? Life affirming, non-life affirming, love, hatred. What is it that I am as my consciousness, my mental equivalent? What am I radiating out into the world? And what is it? What is the impact and the influence that it has, not only on my individual life, but collectively? The science of mind and spirit as a liberation theology offers us the ability to live as beneficial presences in the world and to be 21st century New Thought Good Samaritans who embody and express all that the divine is as us, thereby radiating love, joy, healing, forgiveness, and much, much more to the world. We understand the importance of our words and our actions and how those things, our words, our mental equivalents, how they create harmony or discord, and how we consciously choose the former. We recognize the power we have to affect real world, life affirming changes in all of the systems. As it says in our Centers for Spiritual Living Global Vision, we envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. And then we take the vision and turn it into action. Breathe. This week's affirmation, our declaration, I will say it first. If it resonates with you, say it with me the second time around. I am a radiant embodiment of the divine, and I illuminate the world with love, healing, forgiveness, and wisdom. Together. I am a radiant embodiment of the divine, and I illuminate the world with love, healing, forgiveness, and wisdom. And so it is. This week's journal questions and Thursday night's group study questions regarding this thing called light. What is my light? And where, when, and how do I let my light shine? And where, when, and how do I dim it? What do I need to release so that I can shine more fully? What do I need to embrace so that I can shine more fully? Number 2, looking at the life evidence, look, what do I have? What do I see? What's going on? Based upon my life results, what is evidenced regarding my faith that I am the light of God? Right? Because we say that you are the light of God. Jesus, the light of God. Well, we understand that which Jesus was, you are, I am, we are. So there's only God. So what is true of him, as Dr. Holmes What is true of God is true about you. So if he is the light of God, so are you. Do you believe that? Does your life evidence demonstrate that? If we were to enter into a court of law and present the evidence, Your Honor, I enter into evidence into Exhibit A through 1000. This is all of the evidence that says Ray does not believe he is the light of God or a light of God. He doesn't believe it. And here is the evidence. Ooh, that's painful. Or is it the counter where, well, there are these three things that if we base it on just these three things, yes, clearly he doesn't believe it. He's not living it. That is not where his faith is. But if we look at the preponderance of evidence, oh yeah, he does. There are other things going on here, but yeah, he does. Just like working out. Well, last Saturday, he sat on the couch and, ate popcorn, ice cream, cake, cookies, and stuff with Tracy, and they binge watched some television show. Based upon that evidence, Ray is lazy. He doesn't work out. He doesn't care about his body. He doesn't care about his health, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, based on that evidence. But what happens more often than not? Well, he walks a lot. And he does balance, and he does eat fruit, and he does eat salad, and he does do push-ups, and he does stretch, and he does. Yes, based upon the preponderance of the evidence, what would it say about your faith that you believe and practice and embody that you are the light of God? Number 3, how do I use faith? What do I really have faith in? Once again, based upon the results, based upon the evidence, what do I have faith in? And how am I utilizing that faith? Number 4, what is a way I can share my light with others during this season, during this time of year, since we're talking about season of lights? In what way can I share my light with others? Volunteer at a food bank? Check in on some neighbors and make sure that they, I don't know, you have to check in. But what can you do to share your light? And then lastly, what would it mean for me to be willing? Ooh, wait, because this is the one. This is the one. What would it mean for me to be willing to honor the darkness and to learn from it and to balance it? To no longer vilify or avoid it or let it extinguish the light. What would it mean for me to honor it, for me to learn from it, for me to balance it? Breathe. And let us enter into that space that we refer to as prayer, recognizing the isness and allness that God is. And because it is all that there is, it must be exactly who and what we are. Called by any name, spirit, the universe, the infinite intelligence, the eternal light, love, doesn't matter what you call it. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. That which it is, each of us must be. So we breathe in this moment, recognizing that we right here and right now have the resources, have the ability, have the divine audacity right now to create a world that works for all. We right here and right now have the light of the divine. Our invitation is, do we know how to shine it? Do we know? And there is nothing that we need to plug into. It is already us. The sun doesn't have a cord that connects to an extension cord that plugs into the sun simply shines. It is its own radiating force of power. That's the same thing for each and every one of us. That which God is right here, right now. I am that which I am, ever becoming more of the truth of my being. And that is what I embody, and that is what I express. That are my thoughts, my words, my emotions, my feelings, and my actions. That is the radiating force of my spiritual magnificence, my divinity, as I live, move, and have my beingness as the truth, the whole truth, and only that which is true, aligned in principle, the very embodiment of love, collaboration, cooperation, and effective communication. I live, move, and have my beingness as a divine Imagineer, doing what is mine to do, balancing yin, yang, a 21st century New Thought Good Samaritan. Whatever words we want to do, want to use, each of us has the ability to do so, and do so with clarity, do so with power. And it is from that space that we, like Superman, look to the sky and say, up, up, and away. And we soar. The law, doing what it always does, demonstrates accordingly, takes the word, takes the energy, takes the vibration, takes it all, and returns unto us exactly what we planted in the soil of the divine. That means this life, my life, is my amen. And that is true for everyone watching now. Our lives, the way we show up, is the very amen. It is the very demonstration of answered prayer. So in this moment, I choose to pray more effectively, to align with truth, to allow that which is God sight, God thought, God speech, God feel, and God doing to show up in, through, and as me right here and right now. This is the truth. This is the prayer. This is the call. And so it is. And so it is. Namaste and blessings, everyone. Make sure you check the chat to see if we are in fact meeting for after message fellowship. And if so, I will see you there. And if not, I will see you same bat time, same bat channel, sometime during the week or next Sunday. Love you.